talk about how to deal with narcissists. And again, I'm not a psychologist. I probably don't have all the answers, but I just wanted to come on here and share with you guys because we talk about it all the time. Narcissistic personality disorder, whatever it is, we are always talking about it, right? And two of the closest people to me, and I'm not going to say who they are, or you probably have guessed who the one person is, but two of the people that are the closest to me that I cannot imagine, I mean, unless something really bad happens, I cannot imagine cutting ties with them. And so I wanted to come on here and explain to you and share how I have been able to kind of not stick in this victim mindset and mentality where, actually, before I even get into that, I do want to mention that there's different type of narcissists, right? There's different personalities. And so, and you know, some people are extremely evil. Some people, you know, there's like different levels of narcissists. So people that are just plain old evil and bad. And so I want to mention that. And so I believe that each person deals with it the best way possible and the best way people know how to. And it's taken me a long time to figure out. And even though I have kind of come up with my own way of coping with it, it doesn't mean that I don't go to my, you know, I don't experience frustration, anger, hate. I have all of these emotions. We're human beings. We all go through it, right? And so I wanted to come on here and just share a little bit. So if you are somebody who has a family member, has parents, has a partner, has your ex, you know, whoever it is, your friend that has this sort of a personality, and maybe I'll explain, you know what, I'm going to get you guys the description of a proper narcissist so we actually get to the root of this. ChatGPT is my new BFF. I don't know how I survived, to be honest, without it. Anyways, what a narcissist really is: someone who feeds on control, validation, and attention, but never gives it back. 4 things to know is that, number 1, they twist your words to make you question yourself. That's gaslighting. They disappear when you need support, but show up when they need supply. This is another one, the big one. Thirdly, they make you feel guilty for having boundaries. That's one of the biggest ways you know if someone has that, is when you say no and that person cannot handle it. And lastly, they charm in public. Ooh, okay. They charm in public. This is good. I like how they put it. But criticize in private. And I actually made a video. I don't know if remember it was a short or an actual video where I said that the way they treat you at home is so different than the way they treat you outside. That's a big telltale sign. You're like, why is this person so much more fun outside? Well, when we go home, they're like, they don't even talk to me. They treat me differently. That's a big one. So the first person, I'm sure you guys know who I'm gonna be talking about is my mom, who has this personality, and she might not like this video, so don't watch it if you're watching it. And again, before I even get into this, you know, the reason why I want to share it is not to shame anybody or to make somebody feel bad, because I wouldn't want my daughter to say I have some sort of a disorder, and I get it. It's not the best. But it is just something that I grew up with as a child. And now, before I even get into all of those things, what I do want to mention is that my mother had a very difficult childhood, right? And only once I became a mother myself and I went through my dark night of the soul, I realized when I was getting snappy at my daughter, I was reacting, I was like, oh my God, I'm acting like my mom. And I'm doing these things where in my head I was thinking like, I would never do these things, and I'm doing those things. And so it's so subconscious, it's so deep that sometimes you're not even, and luckily I have an awareness, right? Sometimes not in that moment, maybe after 5 minutes, I have an awareness. Like, you know what? I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. I apologize. And I do, I mean, we hear this, right? The older generation, whatever you want to call it, they lacked, you know, the sense of compassion and just saying, you know what, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I'm working on it. We didn't hear that. At least I didn't. And my friends, the friends that I have, they don't have parents like that. If you have parents like that, if you have parents who have apologized, please put it down below, because that's a big, you should be very grateful for that. My mom was literally raised in the slums. Her father had a speech impediment. I believe he had it not all of his life, but most of his life. And not having a father figure as a woman, it's very, very, even though it might seem like, okay, it's not a big deal, but it is really a big deal when you don't have that father figure to give you that sense of that love, affection, compassion. You then tend to not truly feel it. Even if there's a man that you attract later down the line, you're unable to feel that love because you never felt that as a child from your father. It's very difficult to absorb that sort of love. And that is why, when I used to work with a lot of women back in the day, the women that would, they had like big boobs and big, all these surgeries and big lips and all these kind of things. But deep down, they were just such pure souls. Like, they were really good women. But because, like, there was one woman that I was working with, and I know I'm going in a different direction, but that's just how I talk. Get over it. And her father was a drug addict, and so she was always the one looking after her father. And so, anyways, she ended up finding this man who's this charismatic, charming millionaire, and she literally moved to the US without a visa. Anyways, that's a whole different story. And she was super sensitive. She was an empath like myself. An empath is somebody who can feel your pain. If you're going through something that I have never been through, I immediately feel your pain and I literally start crying. The point of this was that when a woman doesn't have a male figure in their life, they can really choose messed up paths. I can never say that. Paths, whatever. And so when I realized, and when I came to that awareness, again, this has to do with a lot of self-reflection, a lot of just facing my truth and honoring it and giving it that love and compassion. Like, you know what? Yes, you haven't had the best childhood, but your mother hasn't either. And I had to not only give myself that love and compassion, but also give it to my mom. And even though currently she still says a lot of ridiculous things, and I'm like, oh my God, And at times I feel like I came into this world to like parent her. I know it sounds really weird, but I'm always the one to parent her, to give her advice and say, no, let's try this, and she was meant to come into my life to teach me how to have compassion for people that are extremely difficult to deal with, because she still is a very difficult person to deal with. But luckily I have had to maneuver a way to figure out how, because at one point in time I did not want to talk to her. I literally was like, I'm done. I don't want to have a relationship with you. I'm over this. And I was just really hurt and broken. And I was like, how can mothers, because I have a daughter, and I'm like, I could never ever dream of doing any of the things or saying any of the things my mother ever has. But I had to come to this sense of this conclusion that I can still have her in my life, as long as we have some strong boundaries. And another thing, so boundaries, of course, I'm sure you guys have heard of it. But the second thing, what I would mention, and this is a very difficult thing for me to do. I'm not perfect at it 100%. I'm going to say that. But the second thing is accepting her for who she is. Okay? And not just she, but anyone that is narcissistic, that is toxic, that is fill in the blank. Somebody who is unaware, who's unconscious. They don't know how important and impactful words are. When you say certain things, it really makes a difference in people's lives. So I tried really hard, and I still do, to accept what is. Okay, when she's saying things that I'm like, that's never gonna happen. There's, it's not, I don't see that as truth. And I want to correct her. and I want to say, please stop. No, no, no. This is how it's meant to be. And I want to change her. I want to show her proof. And she doesn't get it. You know, like how much ever I've tried it, like she doesn't understand. And so that was obviously a long road of me trying trial and error. And I was like, you know what? The best thing is like whenever I'm able to just, you know, she says something and I'm like, okay, cool. I can see it that way as well. Like I just accept her reality and I don't try to change it or fix it. So that was another thing that really helped me. And the third thing I would mention is that I still try my best to not react, because I realize even with my father, you know, with my parents, I feel like we all do this. We're super reactive. Like nobody can trigger us like our parents can. And whenever she would say something, I'm like, oh, I gotta take a deep breath. Like I would suddenly just snap. I would say something rude back, tit for tat behavior, which never seemed to work. None of that, the meanness, you know. And you know, it's funny because when I grew up, I was so just, I would never say bad about anybody. And it's so crazy because I never listened to any podcasts about God. My parents never really talked about God except for, you know, read this book. This is the Zarathustra. Oh my God, I'm forgetting it. That was embarrassing. So I'm Zoroastrian. That's one of the oldest religions in the world. It is originated in Iran in 400 BC. That's all I'm going to get into it. So the book that we have is called the Avesta, okay? And so I remember, like when I was young, I would read that, but nobody actually sat me down and say like, you know, like God and talked about these things. It was just like, read this book, say these prayers, you have a navjot. A navjot is kind of like a baptism that people, oh my God, there's a neighbor. I can't. I don't know why I find it so embarrassing for them to watch me. Anyways, so a navjot is like a baptism where basically before the girl, oh no, is it before or after? Before the boy or girl goes through puberty, they do this navjot, which is like, you know, it's a ceremony basically by the fire. You learned prayers, you're with the priest and your family members, and this is a big thing. And so I just remember doing that. But I remember that when I was little, like I just felt, and I can't explain it, but I just felt this intense amount of just love and compassion. And even though at times I was like, you know, my mom wasn't that person, unfortunately, or my dad even wasn't, because they had a very, you know, there was a lot. It was just not the best relationship. And so I didn't see love and I didn't feel love growing up. That's just my reality, right? Like, of course, there was times when my dad would get angry and then my mom would like protect me, and I love that. I really just am grateful for that. But the times when I just needed that love and affection, I didn't get it. But the point that I'm trying to make is that when I was little, I never said anything bad about anybody. I was just so pure, and I'm sure most of us were pure beings. Then when you go into the real world, you know, you got to defend yourself. That's when I got a little bit of my, you know, like I can get you back. Like if you're going to say something, I can get you back 10 times hard, like worse. And I hated that about myself, where I could really go dark with you back. But I realized it had to do with a lot of my bullying in high school. I had to learn how to defend myself. And I think it is important to defend yourself, right? I think there's something wrong in that. But I do believe in taking the higher road. When you go low, I go high. Is that it? When you go low? Yeah, that is it. When you go low, I go high. I don't need to. Like, I remember there was this girl in high school, these two girls that stole my money out of my bag. And I was just embarrassed for them, to be honest. And I was just so unfazed. And it was funny because, you know, my school, they had all these fights. It was really ridiculous. And they thought, and they had like gathered some girls, and they thought like I was going to slap her or something like ridiculous. And I was like, and you know, I didn't even ask for the money back. That was ridiculous. I should have asked for the money back. I don't know why I didn't even ask for that. But I just didn't have that in me to like fight and yell and scream. And I think because I've seen so much of it in my house that I like, if somebody wants to start with me, I'm like, I have better things to do. Like, I'm not gonna be dealing with shouting and screaming and yelling. But that was when I was younger. When I got older, I was like, let me show you, sweetie. No, I'm joking. I didn't do that either. And so even though my childhood was very ups and downs, I didn't know what I was gonna get, I still felt safe. And again, I haven't watched any of these, you know, because like I talk like this now, but I used to talk like this in my head when I was little. And I, you know, when I used to go to sleep and I just, you know, I would hear my parents fighting or something bad happening, or somebody, you know, my mom or dad calling the cops on each other or whatever was happening. You know, in my head, I was like, I'm protected, I'm guided, I'm safe. And that just came to me. I didn't read an affirmation book. I just used to say that to myself. And I always used to think this. I used to always think like somebody is watching over me, like somebody is protecting me. I don't know where that came from. But that's what I'm saying is like, you know, when you're younger, like God is there to protect you, even though you might think he's not. And he's there when you're older as well, right? But it's like you're just less connected from him because you don't believe in him, or you think that it's all a bunch of BS and, you know, whatever crap that we say these days. In my childhood, and I know I'm talking about childhood a lot, but the reason is because I want to explain to you how I was able to forgive and let go. And I haven't told you guys every single thing that my parents or mom, you know, has done, but at some points, it was super toxic, super abusive, emotionally, you know, also physically at times. And there was a time when I was really young, you know, my mom took a little pencil, and she like stabbed it in my arm because she was just super angry. And I realized that like I just wasn't lovable. I wasn't worth it. And I feel like so many kids go through these kind of things. And again, this is not here to blame my mom game. This is really just to explain to you, and my mom as well, I'm sure she's watching, she's gonna kill me. I'm sure somebody did that to my mom. You know, my mom told me something insane a couple weeks ago, because I was sharing with her something, you know, that I went through. Something that I might share it with you guys one day, but not for now. And she said, oh my God, that happened to me as well. And I realized that my mom has gone through a lot of shit. And not to excuse her behavior, but she just didn't know how to love. She did not know how to do it, right? And she still struggles with it at times. And I think we all do at certain levels. The reason that I was able to forgive my mom is because I became a mother. And I saw how difficult parenting truly is. And luckily I have done the work on myself, and I still feel like I'm not ready to be a mom, or like I'm still not perfect, but I have done some fucking work on myself. And I still suck. I'm like, I come back, you know, come back to bed and my day is over and I'm like, shit, what did I see? What did I do? Why did I do this? And I'm like this. And I have done the work, right? What about somebody who has no awareness, who has not done any work in her life? How is she going to handle this? And I think that, again, this has to do with a lot of NDEs that I'm watching as well. But whenever anybody goes up there and, you know, they talk about their NDEs, which is literally every single person says the same shit. If you're into it, you're going to know. They all say that as soon as they go up, and it's like when they die. By the way, don't watch more. If you don't like NDEs or it's too much for you guys, please shut it off. But when they die, when they take their last breath, they always say this, when I took my last breath, my soul pops out of my body. And you see your body from the top, your consciousness, you're watching. And they all say that when, you know, there's a presence next to me, and there's usually an angel or, you know, family members, and then they go into a tunnel, and when they go to a tunnel, that's when they meet God, for the most part. I'm just trying to make it very simple. And they say whenever they go through the life review, there is not one sense of... A life review is basically going through all of your... From the moment that you're born till you go away, you leave Earth. You don't die, you go to Earth, you leave Earth, because we don't really die. Our body just stops working, but our soul is here forever. God gives you this immense amount of compassion, and love that is not even human-like. And they all say that I didn't feel an ounce of judgment, an ounce of how dare you do this, don't you understand, And that also has given me that courage to not judge her and judge anybody that hurts me, because there's going to be loads of other people in life that are going to hurt you. And my biggest takeaway is to not judge people that are not awake, they're not conscious. And I love that Bible verse. And again, I don't read the Bible, but I've heard this a couple of times, and I love saying it to myself whenever I feel triggered or I want to respond back. And I have it on my board. Hold on. It is, forgive them, for they know not what they do. I have this on my board. Don't look at my grocery list. And usually hurt people. Not usually, they do. When somebody's hurt, they don't know how to process it or heal it, so they end up hurting another person. And sometimes, unfortunately, they end up hurting children. So boundaries and acceptance has been my main way of maneuvering. Also, one thing I want to mention about boundaries is that I always thought that boundaries is what the other person needs to do whenever they don't follow your guidelines or whatever it is. But in reality, a boundary is what you are going to do when the boundary is not being followed. So if it's like, hey, when you raise your voice, I'm out of here. They raise their voice, I gotta go, I'm out of here. You're the one that has to leave. It's not the other person. You're not negotiating, you're not talking to them, you're not making other plans. You're just doing what you said you would do. And that's one thing that I have a really hard time doing, but it is something that I'm getting better at. Oh my God, I see an eagle. I've seen so many eagles today, it's wild. The last thing I want to mention is to not constantly look at them like a narcissist. Like, oh my God, they're this person, they're crazy, and they're this. Because the more that you do that, the more you're going to create that narrative over and over again. So one way of me dealing with it, and it is not easy, it's easier said than done, but I try to just look at them like a human. Right? And it's like, this is just who they are. This is part of the personality. I have to maneuver it the best way I can. And when they really trigger me, I take a break. I gotta go right now. I gotta take a break because I gotta give myself compassion for dealing with somebody that crazy. And also, whenever you're dealing with somebody who is a bit difficult to deal with, you need to also think about your children. That's what I try to do. Being a good role model for your kids and making sure that they see, hey, this is how my mom and this is how my dad deals with difficult people. And they learn about compassion and they learn about kindness. And I don't mean you let anybody walk all over you. It's just about having boundaries, standing up for what you truly believe in. And another thing that I just recently heard, which I loved, was that when a narcissistic personality, they want to bait you into a fight. They want to get you all rattled up. They know how to trigger you, because they know you for so long. They know what to say. And not even that, they probably know how to trigger anybody because they're so good at it. And I love what I heard, which was, I'm not attending to that party today. Or I'm not attending to that today. And I think that has helped me a lot. Like, you do not need to fight every single battle that you see. You do, and this is one of my problems in life, is I do like to call you out and be like, hey, what the hell are you talking about? And I like to be right and all these kind of things. And it's like, no, you don't need to be right. You having your peace is way more important than you being right. And the other person in my life that is a bit of a difficult person to deal with, I'm not going to say who it is, but they're around me quite a lot. And so these two people have really taught me to have love, compassion, and boundaries. And that is something that I never had. I never had love for myself. I didn't respect myself, and I didn't have boundaries for myself. And they taught me that. So I want to thank them for teaching me these things. And I think you need to do the same. Whenever you have someone difficult in your life, I know we have a very, in life, this is what Wayne Dyer says, we're always looking for reasons to be offended, to get angry, to get mad. Instead, thank people. Hey, this person put their middle finger in front of me, in their car, whatever, and I didn't react to them, and that makes me strong. Like, that's how I look at it. That's my perspective. I'm sure men are gonna be like, oh, okay. And I was one of those people, if you do something bad to me, you know, you're dead to me. Like, I would never speak to you again. And I think what these two people in my life, these two relationships that are, that I can't get rid of, they have taught me that I don't need to cut people off. I don't need to throw everybody into the garbage just because. And of course, oh my God, I don't want to say this because sometimes I feel like people pleasers really take this to heart and they, are able to get in these really horrible relationships and think it's okay. No, 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 that's what I'm talking about. These people, I have solid boundaries with them. They're not if it was my partner, there's no way in hell I could be, it's just me. I wouldn't be able to be married to somebody like that. But these people are people that I don't see every single day, okay? And I'm able to maneuver my way around it. I don't need to spend 10 hours with them. And even if I do, there's ways of, it's not perfect, but there's ways of, getting out of the question that they're asking or whatever it is. So this takes a lot of practice. I feel like I've been practicing this my entire life. And the last thing I want to mention is, of course, forgiveness. I don't know if I mentioned this already. And I know people always say, how can I forgive this person? He did this to me or she did this to me. And I get that, right? This is not me telling you what to do. This is just I'm telling you what I've done to help myself. And these two people have done some wild things to me, like things I don't even want to talk about. And I can sit here and talk about it all day long, and I could be a victim. I could be like, oh my God, they did this to me, they did this to me. I could sit here and do that all day long, and I could get lots of views. Trust me, I could. Sometimes I sit down and think about it. I'm like, I literally could talk about so much shit, like crazy shit, and like garner attention like this. But I know that it's not going to be good attention. I know that I'm going to probably recreate it. And I feel like that's a lot of the things that Cardi B, I love Cardi B, but she does it to herself. She's always in some drama because she's always reacting to things instead of just letting it go, letting it be. And I know it's easier said than done because I'm sure somebody on YouTube is going to comment some shit and I'm going to snap at them. I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe that is really difficult to do. But I really believe that you're not going to go to hell when you die, if you're a bad person. The hell that you create is here on earth. You're creating the hell here. And when you leave, when you die, is actually the best part. When you go to God, that is the best part because you're in peace. You are so, you're so spacious. You're, please watch some NDEs. Like somebody needs to watch them because I don't know what's happening. Actually, you know what? I want to know as men, I want you to comment down below. I don't even give a shit. Just comment down below. Tell me, have you watched any NDEs? What are your thoughts on it? And if you haven't, I want you to watch them. I want you to watch 5 to 10 of them. And if you don't know, you know what? I'm going to post, hopefully I remember, I'm going to post some links for you guys to watch because there's a lot of atheists actually on these NDEs and I always see their comments and they're always saying, you know what, I never believed in God, but these videos really give me that sense of just wholeness and that something out there is there to protect me and love me. And I just feel like sometimes in life we need guidance, we need support. And even though you might think, oh, I can't see it, God is not here with me. Oh, yeah, no, God is always with you, no matter what. God is everywhere around you. Your spirit guides, your angels, they're everywhere around you. I really want to help men. And if I can just spark a little bit of like curiosity even, like not oh my God, God exists. Like it could be anything. That's enough. My job is done. Thank you guys so much for watching. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel. Let me know what you want to see because I'm literally going off of what I want to make. I want to know what you want to see. Also, if you're confused about spirituality, about God, about a relationship, about a marriage, and you want some advice from somebody who's not in your circle, and it could be totally, it will be totally anonymous. It's just going to be your voice. You're going to give me a call on Zoom, on audio. My face is going to be shown. And in 30 minutes, I'm going to give you some advice on what I think you should be doing and hopefully help you in some way.